Miss Fulson, how are you today?
I am wonderful. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being with us on maternity leave. Got a baby girl coming in soon.
Yes, thanks for having me. We're excited to be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to put a shine on that baby girl's mama real quick, real quick. You are the Virginia State Teacher of the Year for 2022. And I was watching a video of you being surprised of winning this award. You were
Ooh,
speechless.
so I remember that. And I looked at all of the other educators up there with me and thought, man, this is anybody's game. They're amazing. And then when Governor Northam at the time, he started to describe the person, I said, oh my goodness, that could be me. And so it's not, I'm like shaking, but I'm excited because when you go in education, you don't say, I want to be the teacher of the year. That wasn't it for me. I just wanted to do the best for my kiddos every day. But then when someone recognizes you for doing something you wake up and are drawn to, and you just love to do it, it's a surprise. And then I said, okay, well, I have no speech. The only thing I know is I told my kiddos I wouldn't be there, and they hate it anytime I have to be gone for any reason. And I said, y'all, if Miss Fulson wins this, I'm gonna say hi to all y'all on TV. And because they're second graders, anything on TV, you're famous, right? So I say, we're all gonna be famous. I'm gonna say your names. And that's the only thing I committed to doing. And it's the one thing that I made sure I did while I was on the podium there. And I got to say all my babies' names
Right.
and thank them for just loving on me and supporting me. And I know they were rooting for me. So it was just amazing. I had my dad there with me to support. And and my principal and my superintendent and all the
You
other
brought you
folks.
brought the whole family. You brought the whole
I did.
family.
We came deep. So, but it was amazing. It was amazing, unlike anything I could have imagined. And I got to do it in person,
Yeah.
which was kind of cool because in this past couple of years, a lot of the recognitions have been virtual, which is great. But to be in person, to experience it live, it was amazing.
Talk about the emotions of not being with your kids for years, not being able to have social interaction, and then have this huge moment, be in person, live with the governor, around some of these amazing teachers, your friends, your family, have your students watching you and going back to the classroom afterwards. What type of emotions were running through your head that day?
I thought I was opening up the door for a whole bunch of little kids that said, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if this is me. I don't know if I'm able because of what I look like, what I sound like, my first language. This is like the moment to say, look, you can do this. And that was my biggest emotion. I remember when the pandemic began and we went home almost what seemed like indefinitely. And the next year, my principal asked me to be virtual. Of course, I said yes because I'm open for a challenge and I'm somewhat technologically savvy. So I knew I could do it. I knew I was capable, but I did not anticipate the emotional pull that it would have on me. I didn't realize how much I missed seeing my kids every single morning. Those little hugs, the ones that stop right at your waist because they're so little. Those air kisses in the hallway from kids you don't even know, but know your name somehow, and they're the air hearts, just the little things you don't recognize that you miss. I miss them so much. I was low-key jealous of all the teachers that got to go to the building. Right. While they were probably jealous I got to stay home and maybe be in my PJs from waist down. I miss being in the building. I miss that interaction. And I try to have a silver lining. My cup was half full. I was grateful to have the skills to be able to navigate things virtually. And I got to like be inside of all of my kids' homes. So that was a really, really cool part about being virtual. I got to see their parents walking around in the background and say, hey, let me tell you what Arthur did today. Let me tell you the cool things that he just did on the computer. I didn't have to call. I could just kind of stop him in mid-class. So there were so many pros to being in the house, teaching from home, but I definitely missed being in the building.
Miss Folsom, that was so huge for those kids too.
Yeah.
Some of them were saying you're their superhero. Some of them have said you are their best friend and their favorite teacher. You got the double whammy, the triple whammy, the trifecta going on. What is it about you that excites these young babies so much and inspires them so much?
I I love them from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet. I love them. And there's no way to hide it. It starts on day one when I start learning about them. 13 years in the classroom, right? You recognize it's not about teaching to a test. It's not about academics entirely, right? It's not about making sure they can read or write or do arithmetics. It's about building the relationships with that child so that they can understand that you're completely invested in them, showing that to the parents. And when you love on a child like that, they will reach for the stars. That on top of holding them to the high expectations that they're capable of, those kids, they love coming to the building because they're getting poured into every single day. And it's easy for me to do because they pour into me. So we have this concoction going on when we wake up and come to see each other every day. But I will tell you one thing that I strive to do, and I feel one of my areas of success is building relationships with my students, showing a genuine interest in them. And I have an asset-based mindset. So I don't look at my kids and say, how can we fix Daphne? What's wrong with Daphne? It's, wow, look at all of these amazing things Daphne brings to the table. Let me see how I can leverage that every day. And I find a positive thing and an asset in each of my students, and then I'm vocal about it. And so that on top of positive reinforcement and letting them know that they can do it and the expectation is high. And it doesn't matter what your first language is. It doesn't matter where you were born. It doesn't matter what language your parents speak.
Mhm.
You are capable, and I believe in you 100%.
Yeah, when you talk about international students, minority students, students of all kinds, you are
Yes.
someone who, can teach English as a second language. You've taught all over the world. You have so many talents that can touch so many types of kids. Your classroom is culturally affirming, not just positively affirming, but culturally affirming. Can you talk about what that means to you and how you bring that into your class each day?
I do believe it stems with being a military child. My dad did 27 years in the Navy. Love you, Dad. Love you, Mom. And I do believe that me being uprooted and moving, uprooted and moving, uprooted and moving a lot during my grade level years, secondary years, I had to be the new person. I had to assimilate,
Mhm.
or at least I thought I did. I grew out of that mindset, but I thought that I had to shift and be like the people that were there already. And it was difficult for me. It created dissonance for me in my heart. And I didn't want to do that for my students. I wanted them to be able to bring their authentic selves into the classroom and then have that celebrated and have their differences celebrated. Because I know a couple of teachers along the way did that for me, and it was monumental. After my first bachelor's degree, I kind of like stopped academics and I backpacked through Central and South America because I knew language, syntax, cultural aspirations were really strong for me, something I wanted to do with my teaching career. And so in that, I got to experience Costa Rica and Peru and Mexico and some other countries. And I thought, oh my goodness, this world is beautiful. And so I refused to take a job that was multicultural or like singularly cultural. I didn't want to be in a classroom with just one type of person because it wasn't my jam.
Right.
I wanted to be in a classroom with a whole bunch of different kind of kids so that they could recognize like this is how the world is. The world is truly a melting pot. It isn't just one color or one race or one language. And because I got to appreciate it in real time by being in those places, I like to bring all of those things into my classroom. So that's one thing that we love. We do this symbol in my classroom, author. It means I have a real life connection. Yeah, you lock your pointers, right?
The point is, okay, I got you.
And so whether I'm reading a book, we are watching a short video, or I'm telling a story, or another student is telling a story, when that provokes a connection in a child, they're encouraged to share that connection. And that makes learning sticky. So that's one of the things I like to bring into the classroom.
And it's kind of like these past 2 years have been so rough for everyone and teachers in particular. And they're talking about teacher shortage, teacher crisis, attrition, everything that's been affecting you all.
Mm.
Yeah, you pull from so many places.
Mm.
Where do you get that from to keep coming and keep creating ideas and keep cultivating for these culturally affirming activities and the kids that you show up for every day now?
The children deserve more than a warm body. They deserve someone who wants to be there and is going to work to their fullest potential to give them what they need. And I believe my kids need me. And so I show up for them in the best way that I can, in that I make sure that I prioritize my mental and emotional health so that I can show up for the kids. But I also take moments and reflect, because let me tell you, Arthur, it's been hard for me too. It's been, I show up and I got my smile on, but it's been really, really difficult for Daphne too. Um, but for some reason, at the end of the day, I find my why, I revisit my why, and I ground myself in that. And because I care so much, I feel like there's a saying in Spanish, it's called vale la pena.
Mhm.
It's worth it. It's worth it. Everything that we're going through, it's not permanent, it is temporary, and things will get better. I truly believe things will get better. It will not always be this hard. And the things that we're going through it, one, so that everybody else after us doesn't have to do it. Two, so that the wheel doesn't have to be recreated. But three, so that things can get better and we can shift the status quo and give the kids what they need. And if we give up, someone's going to have to start from scratch, and that's not fair to them. So the people who kind of have their feet grounded now have a little idea of what it takes. And my hope is that any teacher that hears this knows that the kids need you. Period.
Point
Yeah,
blank.
that's it. Yeah.
Who showed you that this was worth it?
It's it's a combination of seeing things that were really difficult for me and sticking it out and then seeing the end result. There's nothing like an aha moment with your babies when you know that child's been struggling with this vowel or that word or this concept. And then they come in and say, "Oh, Miss Fulson, let me tell you, this weekend I put the ice in the window and guess what? It melted. And let me tell you why. It's because I added heat." And I'm like, yes, yes. And you realize, oh my,
It's that right there. It's that
yes,
wow.
yeah,
It's that aha moment, like you said, that
yes.
keeps you going.
Yes. Yeah, those connections, because we all have asked, you can't tell me you haven't asked, why do I need to learn this? Why is this important to me? And the kids may not use those words at 7 and 8 years old, but like I said, you got to make the learning sticky for them. And if they find an outside reason why, oh man, I can't wait to learn the next lesson on the life cycle or learn more about making connections or making inferences. Oh, I'm a detective. I can draw conclusions. Like, that opens the door for careers, that opens the door for them to challenge themselves and to recognize their own potential, because me seeing it isn't enough. They need to see it in themselves too.
Miss Folsom, I love your energy and your passion.
As hard as this work is, no, you gotta have something else there.
I got you. I got
Yeah.
you. Well, Miss Folsom, I want to thank you so
Yeah.
much for taking the time. You're about to bring a beautiful baby girl into this world, and you sat down with me to share your story and to share about these beautiful kids that you work with at Portlock Primary in Chesapeake, Virginia. Let me say it one more time. She's the 2022 State Virginia Teacher of the Year.
Yes.
2022 Virginia Teacher of the Year, Miss Daphne Fulson. Thank you so much for coming on today. Is there anything else that you wanted to leave us with?
I just want everyone to know that you have a purpose here. Definitely, if you're an educator, reground yourself in your why every single day. And don't forget to fill your cup. You cannot pour from an empty one. And grant yourself grace. Times are hard for everybody. And with that, we just have to maintain our resilience and grant yourself grace and make sure you extend it to others.
Yeah. Keep filling your cup. I wish that you take that your own advice now that you're
Yeah.
bringing a young lady into the world. Now that you are continuing to shine in this classroom, just continue to remember those words that you just shared with us, because we want to see you succeed and continue on this path for these young babies. And thank you so much again for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course.